All right, so here we are in Unit 4 with Guardians, okay? I just want to say real quick, okay, we're on Unit 4. There's 11 units. I'm going to get through all the units, okay? So stick with me here. All right, I promise you I'm going to get through all of them so you can use this, as a, you can use this to study for the Google Level 2 Educator exam. Also, if you want the PowerPoint, there's a link to the PowerPoint, to the Google Slides presentation below, and there's links to other resources and things like that that I'm going to put up there. All right, so Unit 4, Connect with Guardians. It's broken down into 4 different sections. One is organize Guardian information, share Classwide Updates, personalize Guardian outreach, and streamline conference management. So now this whole unit focuses on teachers, connecting with guardians and forming relationships and talking about students and things like that. So let's keep that in mind, right? This has a theme here. It's connecting with guardians. So first off, organize guardian information. Okay. So it starts with forms, okay? The simplicity of forms. To ensure you've got the best information to get in touch with your class guardians in ways they're most likely to see and respond to, survey them once to make the rest of your year easier. So basically, it's saying in the beginning of the year, send out a survey and say, what's the best way for me to communicate with you? Forms can be used to survey guardians about their preferred communication channels, times of the day and week that they're typically available, and any to know information about the child, such as allergies, transportations, things like that, right? So Google Forms offer several benefits compared to, and you can't really see because this thing's down here, but I'm pretty sure it says compared to a paper. Okay, so basically on this slide, just use Google Forms. Send a form out to your parents in the early in the year, and you get a lot of information, a lot of useful information. Okay. With online forms, there's no risk of students or teachers misplacing the contact sheets. And this is like a big theme with Google. With papers, you can always easily lose papers and things like that. Whereas electronically, the stuff's always stored, especially with Google, right? We have that cloud storage. So stuff is stored in the cloud. So, with online forms, you don't have to worry about misplacing contact sheets. Teachers can, quickly export all Guardian responses to Google Sheets. We learned this in Unit 1. So when you collect a form, you can export your responses to Google Sheets. And then it's accessible from school or home. Having everything online makes it easy to share as well, right? It's not easy to share papers where, you know what I mean? You got to drop it off to people and, mail it and things like that. So with forms, responses exported to a sheet, you could stop wasting time, flipping through the pages, trying to decipher bad handwriting. Like I have bad handwriting too. Instead, you can simply sort your results alphabetically using one of the functions. Okay. Now, meet Mr. Sanchez. This is right from the Google Skill Shop. So it says Mrs. Mr. and I wrote Mrs. One of those are off there, right? So Mrs. Sanchez is a sixth grade teacher and likes to keep parents and guardians informed about class events and student progress. Okay, like I said, this whole theme is keeping parents informed, and this is Mr. This scenario was created in the Google Teacher Center / Skill Shop. All right, so it's important for teachers to know as much about their students as possible. You can find valuable information about your students from their parents, right? So the parents, in most cases, the parents are the best resource for finding information about the student. Now you can read like IEPs and ask other teachers and things like that. But if you really want to know what's going on with the kid, you got to talk to the parents. So therefore, Mrs. Sanchez creates a Google form to get information. Okay, and Google Forms, like we said, Google Forms are used to gather information, and then we use Google Sheets to analyze that information. So forms are easy for her to design and easy for parents to complete very quickly. And there's a link down here to a form from the Google Google Skill Shop. Okay. Okay, watch the following video. This is a video on Google Forms. It's an older video that I made because it's Unit 1. I'm gonna, because I don't want it to play, but it's right there for you. It has everything you need to know. It's from Google One, what is it, Google Educator Level 1. Now I have a new one that I'm making. I don't know, it'll be out in like a day or two. I'll add it to this thing. It's like a little bit updated. Listen, it's still 90% the same, but it just looks a little different, and it's always nice to update. So, all right, organize guardian information. All right, so create your form. Google Forms are paperless surveys that efficiently gather and store all the information you need for easy reference, right? Same theme, right? Google Forms to gather information. So you can create your own form by, now it's important that you know it's forms.google.com. There's like ones that are close and you're going to wind up going to the other thing. Stay away from ones that say add there. So it's forms.google.com. Click blank with the plus and then a new form will open. However, you know, this is what they have in the Google Trainer Center, but that's the way I open up new files and things like that is always with, okay, Google, open it up from there. And maybe I'll open it up in a specific folder to stay organized. So I think the way I create documents the best is through Google Drive, right? So whenever Google Drive is like my home base, so that's where I go first. All right, so here's a few fields you may find useful when planning communication with parents and guardians, right? So some things to think about, as well as learning about your students, right? So ask for the guardian's first and last name, students' names, email addresses, phone numbers, preferred communication channel. Okay, do they like to communicate from email, phone, text, whatever? Stay away from the phone. That's my advice to you. What hours are best for phone calls or for meetings? You know, you could list a 2-hour window or something like that. Additional questions and thoughts you may want to know. Ask about any preferences the students may have or need, such as sitting closer to the board to see clearly. Ask to get to know the parent or guardian and what they want you to know about their child, such as something they're most proud of or areas of concern. Ask how the students get to and from school. Ask about allergies. Ask about a living situation at home. They give you a whole bunch here, right? Favorite sports activities, etc., and so forth. Okay, send your form. All right, remember, you make a form, you got to send it out there. There are several ways you can send your Google form, most of which will involve sharing the URL that parents and guardians can use to access the form from anywhere. So if you want to send a form, you go to Google Form. It's in the top right-hand corner. Okay. So first open up the form and click send. You'll see it's right there, and then a window is going to open up, and you could click link icon, and the link icon looks like a. They didn't have it here. It looks like a little. I think it's like a. Not like a paper clip. It's like a half, kind of something like this, if you could see. So then copy the link. To copy, Control C, and share with somebody. And you can share through emails as well. It's all in the Google video that I had embedded in here. And you can find that Google Forms video in the playlist. You could share the URL via the following channels, right? So if you have a list of Guardian emails, email it to them directly using the Guardian list. You could write or print out a short URL to index cards. You could do that. I don't know. Publish the link to an existing school or class website. That's a good one. If you have a class website, so you could say, when the parents gets here, like, hey parent, fill out this information to get to know each other. Writing it out on an index card, I don't know about that one. Okay, access the results, right? So what are we talking about forms here, right? Decide what information you want to get, right? Again, this is all organized Guardian information. What information do you want to get, right? Then create the form, right? Then send the form. Now, after you sent it to them, what do you have to do? You got to access the results, right? So it's easy to create a spreadsheet, right? So even you're going to get the results in the form and something, there'll be responses there, but you always want to convert it to a Google Sheets because it's easier to analyze, and you could create charts and things like that. So, open in Forms, the top right, you're gonna click responses. Well, not the top right, I think it's in the middle. It says responses right there, and then you're gonna click create spreadsheet. Okay, and they have like a little spreadsheet icon, and then create a new spreadsheet, and then enter the name of the new spreadsheet. Just click create, and you're gonna have all your information stored in a Google Sheets, and that's where you want it because it's easy to it's easy to analyze. Like here, if you read the bottom, it says once you have your sheet, You can efficiently find out what you're looking for in a few ways. You could do sort, you could do filter, you could do control F. All right, so confirm and customize. To set expectations with parents and guardians, you could customize the message after submitting. Yeah, you could do that now. You could. It's like a confirmation message. It's kind of like a hey, thank you for completing this, or welcome to the class. That's also in the video, and it's definitely being in the new video I'm making. So, and I'm going to try to get that done today on Forms. Open the form in Google Forms. Click the settings, presentation. So when you click settings, you'll see a presentation will be it's general presentation in the middle, and then quizzes, remember. And then you'll see confirmation message, and you could type a confirmation message like, hey, thank you for completing this. Okay, so let's get through this. After collecting responses, how can you view Google Forms results all in one place? So after collecting responses, you want to view it all in one place. And we just said, right, put it in the Google Sheet. Easy to analyze. And the answer's already here. How can a Google form be distributed to guardians? You can email a form. You can share a form link on your school website, right? We mentioned that too. Send in an envelope in the mail, right? That's not a good idea. I just want to see here, okay? Not a good idea. All right, which response types can be used in Google Forms? Short answer, check boxes, and multiple choice. Okay, so it's these three that you would all have learned in the video. All right, next up, share class-wide updates. Again, right, you want to keep parents informed, right? So you want to share everything that's going on in the class, right? So class-wide, that's all students, right? Okay, keep guardians informed. Teachers and school administrators often need to share information with the entire. Sometimes you got to send information on the whole class, the whole grade, the whole school. G Suite for Education offers several ways to ensure that students and their guardians are always up to date with the information they need, while also helping you save time sending out that communication. So let's keep going. All right, so send out one email, reach all guardians, right? So you don't want to send out an email to all guardians. You want to send out one email, reach everybody. After you've organized guardian contact information and preferences, add those email addresses to Google Groups representing each classroom. Okay, so you don't want to have to email everybody. You create a Google group. Google Groups was covered in Fundamental Trainings, Unit 1. Level 1, and I've imported some of those slides from level 1 in here just in case you forgot, which happens. So, this means that you'll no longer need to copy and paste dozens of individual emails into a BCC or accidentally expose personal email addresses to larger audiences. You don't want to do that either. Instead, you can use a Google group and create one alias, and then everyone in that group will get a message. Groups even make it easier in the past emails. That's funny because I just had an issue with that. I had to, because now everything's virtual, I had created a new Google class and I was supposed to send out a welcome email to the parents, and I didn't create a Google group. I just put it all in send, like I did, because it wasn't that many. It was like 7 parents. So I put it let's say, so I sent it to 7 parents, and the one parent's like, oh, I would appreciate it if you don't, expose my email. And I was like, damn, I didn't even think about that. I was like, sorry, I didn't mean to. So next time I'm gonna do the Google. I didn't know what it was a big deal though. I mean, they all know each other. There was only like 6 people, but whatever. Okay, where was I? Okay, so instead you could create a Google group, and then the emails aren't exposed. Groups even make it easier to find past emails. Okay. Okay, create a Google group. Creating and using a Google group can save you a lot of time and make life easier. The Google Advanced Training on the Google Teacher Center and Skill Shops, they recommend reviewing level 1. So what I did is I brought some of the stuff in from my level 1 training. This is the whole video. Create a group, establish group information, group permissions, group types, members. All of it's in here, but I'm not going to let it run. I'm just going to go. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so this is from the level 1, right? Google Groups, they're an easy-to-use application. They act kind of as a discussion board, but more importantly, a mailing list. Okay, I'm going to try to go through this quick here. Participants in a group can create posts. We're not really using it for that. Okay, these are the links here. Okay, if you want a quick link, you would just click here and I would take you to a click here, click here. These are all the quick links, okay? So add members, all that stuff. There's different Google group types and email list, okay? So allows users to post from the web through email. This is a mailing list group, right? That's what you would want, an email list, really. And then there's other ones here. Like I said, a web forum. It allows people to interact and have engaging discussions. But that's not really what we're talking about with this unit, okay? A Q&A form. Look, these are good, okay? Collaborate. These are all good, but this unit's really talking more about an email list. How to create a Google group. This talks about, like here, it talks about thought-provoking questions. You really don't need that. Create a group for parents to communicate. This is something you might. It's something you might want to do. All right, so create a group for parent communications. Oh, so first access the Google Groups application and click Create Group. Decide on the group name. All right. Pay attention to the newly created email address, so make sure it's unique to your group. Then choose the group type. So maybe this is a web form. You want to have like a web form discussions, and then select that anyone can ask. In the basic permissions. And other options are public or only invited users, so anyone can ask to be in a group. Remember, you can always invite people through email, and that's just say anyone can ask to be in a group. All right, so we talked about using Google Groups to communicate with the parents, right? So that's what we were on. Now we're talking about Google Sites. For ongoing information about class activities or for information that is likely to change over time, consider maintaining a class website. So now we're talking about Google Sites and a class website. Through an online hub for your classroom, you can share and update information for students and their families. Okay, it's like a virtual the class website is like a virtual bulletin board. It serves as a one-stop shop to host a class syllabus, calendar, permissions, and things like that. I have a good video on creating a class, an interactive class syllabus with a document. It's part of the Google training too, so it specifically goes to I think it's in Unit 6, I think. So it's an easy reference resource for parents whenever they need to check current and year-round class information, and it will help reduce emails and it'll reduce calls, asking for details and things like that, right? So you don't want to have to answer. Listen, answering parent emails every year, it's more and more, and it's good. I guess it's good they're getting involved. I have 2 kids and everything, but I don't really, I'll email maybe like maybe once a month period or something, like if there's an issue. But then there's some now that email all the time, so you want to create this virtual bulletin board so you can have all your questions answered there. Okay, and then put as a template maybe. Check the bulletin board. You know what I mean? And it's really not a bulletin board, like I said. Check the school website, the classroom website, and then they could have all their questions answered. They don't have to keep emailing you and things. Again, this is a great video on Google Sites. This is the new Google Sites here. Build a website. I'm not gonna let this play either, but I will go back. It has creating plays, layout, adding videos, granting permissions. A bunch of stuff there. Okay, so scale communications with sites. Okay, to customize a class website for Guardian communication, consider adding a page called upcoming events, right? So if you're going to create your class website, have a page, upcoming events, Guardian forms, or other important information you want the parents or guardian to see. Remember, the theme is, communicating with guardians. If you have your syllabus, if you have your class syllabus, permission forms, other policies like a Google Doc, you don't have to retype everything into the site. You could just, you just embed that doc right into the site. So again, right, this is talking about a class-wide website. Throw your syllabus in there, embed that document. You don't got to retype it or nothing like that. Okay, this is a link here. You can learn more information. It's from the Google Skill Shop, Google Teacher Center. All right, here we go. I'm giving these answers away too fast. I'm going to go back. I've got to animate them. So, which join group permission setting guarantees that you select or approve every individual who becomes a group member? Only invited users, and anyone can ask, right? So, if you invite them, okay, because you invited them, they're good. And anyone can ask, okay? So, that means they still have to ask you to be granted permission, okay? which post permission setting allows you and anyone you select, such as an assistant teacher, to send messages to the group. Select all that apply. Owners of the group and managers of the group. Okay, this is more with your Google Group section, right? So it makes sense this would be a Google site question. What types of components can you display on a Google site? All right, you can put a lot on a Google site. You can put a Google document, you could put YouTube videos, photos, all of the above, right? That's one of the great things about Google Sites. You could like add everything into it. Okay, personalized guardian outreach. Okay, again, we're talking about guardian outreach, right? So what did we just learn here? I want to do a quick review. We just learned about how can we share class-wide updates, right? So like what's going on with the class with events and field trips. It's Google Groups, with that emailing list and maybe create a form. And then it's Google Sites. You can embed and put everything out there, all that information out there on the Google site. So that's like just a little summary. Personalized guardian outreach. The power of engagement. Just one second. Back to Mr. Sanchez. All right. No, Mrs. Sanchez. Mrs. Sanchez likes to personalize outreach to keep parents and guardians involved in the student's progress. Okay. She does so not only to be informative, but also because she often sees guardians' involvement positively affect the students. And I have to agree with that, right? So if you get the parent positively involved, usually it benefits the student. The more involved the parent, the better the student does, because the parent, nags the kid at home too, right? You're the teacher, you're nagging them to do the work. Then when they go home, the parents are nagging them too. Google Classroom can save you time by automatically sending personalized updates to parents. Okay, Google Classroom does do that. And other G Suite for Education tools enable teachers and guardians to communicate in ways that work best for them. So they're talking about Google Classroom, and again, we're talking about personalized guardian outreach, right? So the previous one was class-wide. So if you want to do the whole class, they were talking about groups and sites. Now we're talking about personalized, right? Specific for a parent. Now Google Classroom can have it personalized for a parent. Okay, use Classroom to automate personalized updates, right, for that specific parent. So your guardian summaries may be turned off or by administrators. Okay. Now listen, the school administrators or technology administrators, whatever they're called, they can they have the power to make you like a verified teacher and allow you to turn it on or off, or sometimes they can just turn it off. So in some cases, it's turned off by administrators. That's why I put they may be turned off by administrators. They might not verify you as a teacher. This happens. So Google Classroom comes built in with the ability to send guardians automated individualized student updates, right? This is Google Classroom. So they get individualized updates of their students. These take the form of daily or weekly email summaries, which may include class announcements, current assignments, missing work reports, all specific to the student. It's personalized. It includes information from the student's subjects and classes from any class where the student has enabled guardian summaries. So, to any class where the teacher has enabled guardian summaries. This is only happening if you the teacher, you can also go in and click and enable guardian summaries. All right, so you can do that. It's in the settings. Okay, you would just go and I think it's in a video in the next unit or an earlier video. But you would just go and you're in Google Classroom. You would just go to that little gear icon on the top right. Go down and just click it on or off for guardian summaries. Okay, to use Classroom to automate personalized updates. Okay, to set this up for your class, turn on guardian summaries in Google Classroom, right? So, all right, so it's just telling you what I just said, right? So you go to your Google Classroom. You're going to have the class cards page. You pick your specific class. Click settings, right? They don't tell you this. It's that little gear icon. And then, you scroll down to guardian summaries and you just turn on or off, okay? Now, when prompted, click add class, okay? You can add the whole class. To turn off guardian summaries at any time, click the same toggle switch, off. So once you turn on, it's going to say add class and you got to put yes. So you could turn it on and off. Now, this is what a guardian report, an individualized guardian report may look like. This is just taken from the student, from the Google Skills Shop. So take a look at it. Okay, sorry. So, all right. So this is what it looks like. So this is the student work. Just an example. So what the parents gets, right? So it's like this is the dad or mom of Felix. Okay, share a sheet to track progress. Okay, right? So now we're talking about individualized students. We're personalizing this. Some guardians want to know about their child's behavior in school. Shared sheets are a simple and transparent way to do so. So you create new sheet to share with the guardian. Okay, you may also share with the student to empower them to track their own progress. So sometimes it is good to share with the student. Share with them. Don't give them edit access. Just let them view, because I wouldn't be surprised if they made some changes. All right, this shared sheet becomes a place for teacher input and student reflection, while serving as a lens through which guardians can see student performance in class. So you can dynamically share updates with parents and guardians. And dynamically means, once you change it, then they all can see the changes here. I've done this before with behavior. This thing works. Share a sheet to track student progress. And I've shared it with the students in view where they can't change it. And, the mom sees it. So it's great, and I've, I teach, listen, I teach in the high school, I've, I'm not going to go into details here, but I've been cursed out many times, and I put that right in the sheet. Sometimes I have to put it down there, but it never phases me though. Anyway, just thinking. So use forms to log guardian communication. All right. So for times when you speak over the phone, use forms to log guardian communication. For times when you speak over the phone, send an email, or meet in person. Okay, this is when you should use forms. Okay, I don't know if that was clear. Teachers and administrators know how important it is to record all instances of parent and guardian communication. Why do you have to record it? Because nowadays in your PDP and listen, the school administrators, they always put, every year they put more work on the teacher. And now it's like, whereas years ago it was like you would have to, the teacher would only call the parent if the student was really giving them a hard time. Now these administrators, they want you setting up a log and like doing calls like once a month. It's really getting ridiculous, the amount of work they have, because some, I could have over 100 kids or something like that. But so the key word here is to record instances of communication. For school faculty, set up a Google form for yourself to record your interaction with students' family members. Yeah, definitely write it down. You have to. Use form to log guardian communication. Okay, so again, with the Mrs. Sanchez used to have a notebook at her desk where she wrote down the date, guardian name, mode of communication. This is what I used to do when I first started teaching. When I was teaching in Newark, I used to have to, every time I would call a parent, I'd have to write it down in this little notebook. And then, because I was new there, the principal, who's now the mayor, the principal of Newark, the principal at the time would check it out and just make sure, because I was new, he would take the new teachers and he would check and see if you were actually calling the parents. It was like a little, I think the word's induction program. And, listen, those parents are, the parents of the students in Newark were very good, very helpful. You know what I mean? Whereas now it's sometimes, they look at it like it's, like you'll call and they'll look at it like it's my fault. But that's another story. All right, to make this process as quick as possible for her, she created a form so she can fill out quickly every message and conversation. So she created her own form. She keeps the form bookmarked in her browser, and she always has it ready. So bookmark the form. So whenever she makes a call or something like that, she uses the Google form, and she just puts the information into it. Now, I do like sheets better to track the. I mean, you could do either one. Okay, use forms to log guardian communication. So here are the settings that will help make it easier for you. General, collect email addresses. Leave this checked so you can confirm every summary was submitted by you. Okay. Okay. So again, this is you to prove that you were talking to parents. So collect. So every time you do it, leave the email check so you know it's you submitting it. Like, okay, I did the talking. Okay. Show link to submit another response. Leave this checked. So if you click show link to submit another response, you can keep working on the same Google form. So you can, after you can keep going in and submitting another response and another response, because you'll be using this form to submit many guardian interactions. It will allow you to easily fill out and submit the form as many times as you need, if you made a few calls in a row or after conferences. All other settings remained unchecked. So it's just saying here, do collect email address and make sure you have submitted another form. Using forms and sheets, you create proof of communication here. All right. Which is true of Guardian summaries in Google Classroom? This feature informs Guardians about upcoming deadlines and late work. Yeah, that's the only one that's true. Okay. Maintaining a progress tracker in Google Sheets is valuable because Guardians can see teacher notes updated in real time. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And how can you confirm who submitted a communication log form entry? The collect email address, right? So whoever, if you do collect email address, whoever fills out that form, you know that person did it. Okay, this is the last section here. Streamline conference management. All right, so it used to be Google Hangouts. I had Google Hangout videos. I had to get rid of them. And I did a whole video here on Google Meet. Okay, listen, get to know this. Even though you don't need to know all this stuff for the Google Level 2, watch that video because there's this, Google Meet. We might not even be, with this virtual teaching. Who knows how much we're gonna have to do? So, I recommend watching that whole video. All right, manage conferences. So this whole title is Streamline Conference Management. So here we're talking about conferences. I just want to go back real quick so we get the big picture of this section. To make conference management easy, kind of. That's what that means. Streamline, right? So conferences are a great way for teachers to check in with Guardians directly and schedule a time to meet in person, and take a lot of back and forth. Hold on, let me say that again. So conferences are a great way for teachers to check in with Guardians directly. So sometimes you might want a conference with a parent, is what they're talking about here. Scheduling a time to meet in person could take a lot of work, though, is what they're saying here. So to prevent delays, so you might have to email a parent: is this good? Is that good? Is that good? Is this good? Hey, is Saturday at 3, is Friday at 4 good? No. How about Monday at 6? No. And it goes back and forth. That's not good. So what you should do to prevent these delays is use appointment slots. Okay. Now, a meeting through a video conference can help increase Guardian participation. So if you're conversing with a parent, it's going to get them more involved. Schedule appointments, right? So reduce the back and forth by scheduling appointments, and you can do this directly in Google Calendar. To begin to create appointment slots. Now listen, I think it was the Unit 2 video. It kind of had said you have to to create appointment slots. It was only in week and day view, but that changed. You could do it in month view too. You just got to go to create. So go to Google Calendar, click create new event, and then on the right it'll say appointment slots, and you fill in the title, details. I'll show you everything on the next slide here. Here you go. So you can't see up here. You would hit the create. Okay, so create an event, and then you would click appointment slots here. Title the event: Mrs. Sanchez Conferences. 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock is the full availability, and then Guardians will select a 30-minute slot. Okay, how long are the slots? 30 minutes, and it lasts for 3 hours. So this is a nice little visual. Okay, I'm gonna not let this play again, but basically that takes you to a video of me creating conference slots, appointment slots. So schedule appointments, right? Invite parents to sign up for a meeting. Click on the calendar event you created. Go to the appointment page on this calendar. Okay, and then copy the URL, and then you can paste it into an email. And Guardians, and paste it into an email, and then they could book meetings. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Guardians will then see all the available time slots, but once a parent signs up for a time slot, that time slot will no longer be available to other Guardians to choose. So basically, once a parent chooses a time slot, nobody else can choose it. And just to review this slide, right, you can invite parents to sign up for a meeting by, you go to your calendar, and then you go to the appointments page for that calendar. You just got to copy the link up there, and then you just send it. Okay, so these are the steps here. Host a virtual conference. Google Calendar's events, including appointment slots, automatically offer the option to join meetings using Google Meet via the cloud. Okay, to join the Meet, and this, this is, you could see this in the, sorry, I'm getting lost here a second, sorry. Okay, the host a virtual conference. In the In the video I made on Google Meet, I do introduce how you can create a Google Meet in Calendar is what I wanted to say. That was the earlier one. So Google Calendar events, including appointment slots, automatically offer the option to join a meeting using Google Meet, okay, via the cloud. To join the Meet, open Google Calendar and click on the meeting. Okay, so you open Google Calendar, you click on the meeting. Then you just click Join Google Meet to start the meeting. Parents can join the event similarly, or they can choose to join by phone and calling in the number. Listen, they can call in. Sometimes I like to call in by phone too, because it gives me, I could walk around. I hate having to sit by the computer all the time. All right, so bring student voices. This is an interesting one here, right? So we're talking about this whole unit's on Google Meet and video conferencing. They're saying bring students to the conference. Okay, teachers can engage their students in guardian teacher conferences. One idea is to encourage them to create a Google Slides presentation of their work and class projects. So basically what it's saying here is bring the student into the guardian conference, let them show their work. If student-led conferences are permitted by the school, I can see why the school doesn't permit this. Then the student's voice and proudest accomplishment can drive the discussion. Remember, students perform better for wider audiences. That goes back to unit 2 of this training, that you want to showcase student work, right? So that's a big theme here, showcasing student work. So it's saying if you're having a conference with a parent, bring the student in, let them present their Google Slides presentation. And they can do that in Google Meet. They just hit that present button down at the bottom, and then they would go up to, share Chrome tab, something like that. Okay, how can parents and guardians join a teacher conference via Google Meet? They can dial the number on the calendar invitation, or they can click join to the calendar invitation, right? So you're going to get a calendar invitation, and you can click join, or you can just dial the number. Which is true about appointment slots? The appointment slot becomes a calendar event from which participants can join a virtual conference. That's important to know. So, you can, the appointment slots become, it's an event, and then you can just join the conference right there. Okay, you can set the duration of individual appointments, and you could set the time period during which you're available, right? You could say, hey, I'm available Wednesdays 3 to 5. Okay, what is required of a guardian to reserve an appointment slot? Very important. Okay, you cannot reserve an appointment slot without a Google account. All right, Unit 4, let's do this review. Where would you go to view responses to your Google Forms? Okay, right? We talked about Google Forms, and then you want to put it in Google Sheets. So, okay, which is an appropriate use case for Google Classroom's Guardian summaries? What is an appropriate use for Classroom's Guardian summaries? Inform guardians about their students' overdue assignments. Okay. How can you join a Google Meet? You can do it from a web browser, and you can do it from a telephone, right? So you can do it from your computer or the phone. You're not going to do it in person, and you're not going to text. Which is true about creating a Google group with the setting only invited users? You must submit specific email addresses to those guardians to join the group, right? So it's only invited users, so you gotta put the specific email addresses. Which is required for families to receive guardian summaries related to your class? Well, the educator must turn on guardian summaries for the class, so you have to do that, and the guardian must sign up. Okay, remember, it doesn't say here, but the domain administrators, they also have to do their part too and allow this and verify you as a teacher. So you got to turn on guardian summaries, and then the guardian has to sign up and say, okay, I'm ready to receive emails. Which outreach methods can be used to provide class guardians with information? Oh, remember we talked about this. This was the second one, I think, right? So we're talking about the class-wide information. We said Google Groups and Google Sites. And when using the appointment slot feature in Calendar, multiple people can select the same appointment slot. No, right? We just did that, right? So once a parent takes that slot is gone. Okay. All right. So which is a benefit of using Google Groups to email your class guardians? You can bypass Gmail's daily sending limit of 100. That's if you want to do that. You could send an email to just one email address and reach all guardians, right? So just one email address, and you can reach them all. You can do more than 100. Guardians can find and search previous class emails all in one place at groups.google.com. So using Google Groups, you know, there's a lot you can do here, right? So they can search previous class emails and it'll all be in one place. All right, next up, all right, this section here, analyze and interpret data. Next up is sheets, and a lot of people have problems with this. Okay, we're gonna go back and check this out, see if there's any mistakes. Writing, if there's anything changed or anything like that, you can write it down below. I'm trying to get this done as fast as I can here. We're in unit 4, right? So we got, I think it's 11 units, right? So we got 7 left. All right, guys, have a good day. I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow.